Good evening. Welcome to another edition of DLP TV, the Tuesday edition. This evening, we are going to be taking a look again at government's legislation in relation to phone tapping. And as I said last week, the government wants to tap your phones. The government intends to tap your phones. We're going to be looking at that perhaps in the first half of the program. And then in the second half of the program, we're going to be looking at government's proposal to give to BDF personnel, soldiers, the powers of arrest. In other words, the powers to function as ordinary police officers do. To discuss the topic this evening, we have again a panel of distinguished lawyers. To my immediate right, Mr. Ensley Grainger, who is our candidate for St. Michael East, but he is a lot more than that. Ensley has been a police prosecutor in the courts for a number of years, and he is now a lawyer in private practice at the bar. As I said earlier, Ensley has been doing a lot of criminal law, criminal defense law. He works in the family courts and the other courts as well. So, Ensley, welcome to you this evening.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Next to Ensley is our other distinguished panelists, a lawyer as well. And I introduced him last time, and I hope I did not upset him by telling the public that he's also an accountant. I meant to compliment him. We have an accountant and a lawyer, a corporate lawyer with us this evening, Mr. Corey Greenidge.
Thank you for having me again.
Most welcome. And to Corey's right, this gentleman has been a teacher. I think he's still a teacher, and he's a lawyer as well. And he is our candidate for St. Peter and doing some marvelous work. We see a lot of videos in which the people of St. Peter are expressing a desire that this is the man they want. And the man they want is Mr. Jason Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Thorne.
Most welcome. So the director tells us that we'll be first looking at some videos. Let us first look at some videos, and then we will be commenting after. Thank you very much, Director.
Occurred without legislation. It occurred unsupervised and unregulated. Nobody knows exactly how far the police have gone with this up to this point in time. They were not required to get a warrant. There was no oversight on it. We know it occurred. We have now brought legislation to protect the people of Barbados, protect the institutions. We have now said you can't do it because you feel like it. You can't do it and we don't know what you're doing. Yes, we accept that sometimes you will need to gather evidence by interception. I'm just going to call it wiretapping because that's easy. That's just easy for me. It rolls off my tongue better. We know you may have to gather evidence by wiretapping. But you, before you need to do it, have to go and request a warrant, get a warrant from the Chief Justice.
The sentence that stays with me is when the minister said, Abrams said, we know it occurred. Corey, we know it occurred. That video, I mean, it took a lot, or did it take a lot for him to admit the things that he admitted, that this thing has been happening? Barbadians used to say, well, perhaps it does, perhaps it doesn't. We had confirmation in Parliament last week that the government has been, and we have to say the government, since he says we, it means that he is fixing himself with knowledge that this thing has been happening. So that if you fix yourself with knowledge, you're fixing yourself with the responsibility, but you're here to do it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Thorne. I think what is most interesting about the video, he echoed the sentiments of the Attorney General as well, whom earlier in his presentation to the House of Parliament also alluded to the fact that they were aware that wiretapping, as it's being referred to, was occurring.
So that the public knows that this is about your phone.
And it seems almost as if Minister Abram was almost boastful about it.
Yes.
It seemed a bit, it caught my attention as well. What the Attorney General did say, though, is that, and Minister Abrams also alluded to it, was that this was not legal. This was not illegal. It was just happening. The Attorney General referred to an opinion that he proffered, that because the right to privacy was not enshrined as a right that was, I say, justiciable, and for our audience it meant, right, at the time, he was saying that the right to privacy that is within the Constitution, they had opined that it was not justiciable, and therefore,
you're using that word justiciable.
I need to explain that word. Justiciable meant that there was a right within the Constitution that if that right was infringed, you as a citizen of Barbados would be able to go to the law courts and file an action for the breach of your right. It means justiciable. You're able to take it to the law courts of justice to get relief for that breach of your constitutional right. So what the Attorney General, and echoed here by the Home Affairs Minister, was saying was that the right to privacy was not justiciable, and therefore wiretapping or phone tapping was okay. Of note, however, is that the Attorney General went on in his address to identify that the ruling of the Caribbean Court of Justice, which in Barbados is our highest court of appeal, our final court of appeal, that when they ruled in 2018, they affirmed that the right to privacy was in fact justiciable. I'll say that again. The Caribbean Court of Justice in 2018 made a ruling to say, no, Attorney General, your opinion is not actually correct. This right that is within the Constitution, within the Bill of Rights, was actually a right that could be infringed. And if it was infringed by the state or any state actor, a citizen could go to the law court to get relief.
What year was it?
This was in 2018.
7 years ago.
Nerve versus the Queen. And they made that ruling. Yet,
so that became the law in
that became the law in 2018. I want to make an interesting distinction here.
Yes.
What the Attorney General and the Minister of Home Affairs are doing is they're saying it was not illegal after 2018. Now, there was no law in our books that made phone tapping illegal. And therefore, they almost said it almost glibly, like, hey, this was happening, we knew this was happening. Though it was not illegal, what the Attorney General and the Minister of Home Affairs are admitting is that we were either aware or we were either complicit in, or we just let happen for 7 years of our administration for citizens of this nation to allow for their fundamental right that is afforded to them by the Constitution to be infringed. So even though it was not illegal, what they're basically admitting is saying this, you were breaching the fundamental rights of citizens for 7 years, and now come to the floor of Parliament to almost brag about it. Just because it wasn't illegal didn't mean that it was right.
And Corey had to say, oh, we're now protecting the citizens.
Exactly. The question is begged, why didn't you protect the citizens once the CCJ handed down a ruling in 2018? You won the government. There was 2019, 2020, 2021. You understand what I'm saying? They have come to the House of Parliament and expect the citizens of Barbados to give them a pat on the back now for turning up to make it illegal, and admit we were okay for 7 years for the citizens of Barbados for their fundamental right of privacy that is afforded to them in the Constitution to be breached and infringed. And that is, I don't know if they heard themselves, but after I heard them speak, I thought to myself, well, that's an interesting admission. But I'll give to my other panelists to comment.
I would want to add, Ensley or Jason, we have no idea extent of the surveillance before tapping. Over 7 years.
I say this to you.
Yes, Jason.
If you start wrong, you most certainly will end wrong. Right? And when the debate was held on Friday, the 8th of August in Parliament, this Intercept Communications Bill was just to justify the actions of the government. In other words, they're not creating a tool to make their doings right. And the people of Barbados must be told that the government was acting illegally
or immorally.
or immorally.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will stress this because when you collect private information from people
Over 7 years.
it can become a tool for, should I say it?
Political victimization.
Blackmail.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Blackmail.
Oh yes. Ensley, I want to ask you. Now, as Corey said, they glibly said it almost. If they had, look, the minister did not say, and as a result of this surveillance, we prosecuted John Buck. They did not say that. What do you make of the fact that he quite glibly said we've been doing this? Or rather, let me not misquote him, we knew that this was happening. And he did not go on to say that anybody was prosecuted. He did not go on to say what is the nature and extent of the information. Your comment.
Good evening again. But the minister Abrams actually, if you want to say corroborated, the Attorney General. Because in his remarks before getting to the bill, he indicated or intimated that this was happening. So if Minister Abrams coming now to say that we are bringing law to protect the citizens of Barbados, in my view, he is looking, or the government is looking to pass a law to legitimize their wrongdoing.
Excellent.
That has been happening, as he said, for some time.
And he's doing that under the guise of protection. Well, he's saying we are doing it now to protect. What were they doing before?
Right. Having admitted that this was happening, will the Attorney General or the Prime Minister come to the public of Barbados and say between 2018 and present, we had X amount of interceptions, and what was what were the outcome of these interceptions?
We're not reflecting on anyone. Do you think it's significant that he did not say that the information was destroyed? Where is it? What is happening with it?
Yeah. That is the big question, because one can assume that there still is information out there on some member or members of the public that is not destroyed.
They're in there.
It's very private. That is not destroyed. And that is really cause to worry.
Yes. Yes.
Because I don't know if it is on me.
Precisely.
You don't know if it's on you.
Precisely.
So every citizen in Barbados at this point in time, it could be them.
And every citizen must be concerned.
Has to be concerned.
Who out there is driving around innocently, Corey, and not apprehending the fear of I am among that surveillance information. How comfortable must Barbadians feel at this point tonight with these admissions?
I think they should be extremely uncomfortable.
Yes. All Barbadians.
All Barbadians.
Yes.
I want to piggyback from what my colleague was saying. Remember, part of what the Attorney General and the Minister are trying to suggest, we're protecting you now. But another question has to be asked. If the wiretapping or the phone tapping or the interception of communication between 2018 and now was inadmissible in a court of law, what was the purpose of the phone tapping?
Yes.
Who were you phone tapping?
Yes.
What was that information used for? Because remember, this is supposed to be about fighting crime.
Precisely.
But if you were
goes to war.
correct, but if you were between 2018 and now either directly involved, indirectly involved, aware of, complicit in, whatever phrase we use, if and certainly at a minimum aware, because those are the words of the honorable minister. He said you were aware.
Yes.
When did you become aware? What did you do about it? Was the program shut down immediately? Where is the information? What was the purpose? It could not have been for criminal fighting crime, because that information that's gathered cannot be admitted in a court of law. So at that point in time, it has no value for the fighting of crime and the prevention of crime, or certainly for the conviction of criminals.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting that the Attorney General and the Minister of Home Affairs, and we have the first part of the second clip, I think we can play to hear the words of the Attorney General. Let's hear the first part of the second clip.
Important to note from this, Mr. Speaker, is that we are providing in the statute for monitoring obligations. Remember I said to you, Mr. Speaker, at the outset that this has been going on for decades.
Well,
But there was no monitoring. There was no permission to be sought. There were no requirements that had to be met.
So
Corey, he said
This has been going on for decades. That's a lot of
information in there. Wherever is in there.
wherever in there is. So again, you can see how very nonchalant almost he introduces. We knew about this thing.
This has been going on for decades.
And certainly since 2018, after the ruling of the CCJ, and I want to repeat this, the government and the Attorney General, who is, if not the highest law enforcement officer within our administration, were aware of this thing happening, understand the ruling of the Caribbean Court of Justice, and allow this to continue to the extent that every citizen in Barbados who would have been the subject of any phone tapping or any information interception, his constitutional right would have been infringed at that moment. It is clear as day. And the fact that this government is so glib, so nonchalant about bringing this information to the floor of Parliament demonstrates a government that no longer feels it needs to be accountable. Someone needs to be able to ask these critical questions. Barbadians need to be able to ask these critical questions. Who was doing this phone tapping? What was the purpose of the phone tapping? Where is the information now? Has that information been destroyed? Did any criminal activity been stopped because of this phone tapping? So to just glibly throw your hands apart in the House of Parliament and just give this information, that cannot be accountable.
no, it's not acceptable.
It's unacceptable.
Ensley, can I ask you a question that may be unfair to you? Do you know of any case over the last few decades in which phone tapping material was used in court? I can't think of any case where that material came about as evidence in the court of law. But I know that there are, or there were, an instance where it was made known, and it's public knowledge, that certain individuals in this country, that their phones were tapped. And the architects behind that are those who will most likely be playing a part and having major positioning or carrying some degree of authority within this legislation. Did you know that? What they had been said. So, if before it has been done, it was done, admittedly by the Attorney General and his minister, who is to say now that what was done prior will not be done again. Because he said this was going on for decades and there was no monitoring.
No monitoring commission.
No monitoring commission.
They were on a rampage.
And then now with this legislation has so lethally excoriated last week.
Yeah.
With the section of the clause 5.2, where they can come without a warrant. So that is now a provision, in my view, which would legitimize what they were doing for decades. So there was no monitoring then. So if you come without a warrant now, there's no monitoring either.
And you know, it's not even amusing. Nothing about this amusing, but it is certainly not amusing, Corey, that they did not seem aware that the legislation gives these persons the power to contact without a warrant.
I must say, you are always, you're usually the one that accuses me of the front. You seem to, we are about to switch roles. As you said, they seem not to be aware. But both the Attorney General and the Minister are members of the bar in excess of, I believe, certainly the Attorney General in excess of 30 years.
Yeah.
And it would be hard pressed for me to believe that they are unaware that a legislation that they are laying before the House of Parliament authorizes, allows, permits for interception of communications without a warrant.
Without judicial intervention.
Without judicial
intervention. Let's hit
I'll ask our producers to run the third video so we can hear from the Attorney General.
Yes, thank you.
Only individual who can authorize the interception of communication is the Chief Justice of Barbados, or if he's not available, such other judge as he would assign. So you have to literally go to the highest authority. Under this act, there is no minister who can authorize interception of communications. There's no junior functionary who can authorize interception of communications. Only the Chief Justice or such other judge as he assigns is able to authorize the interception of a communication. If an interception of a communication occurs without that, that is unlawful, and the person who is guilty of unlawful interception can find himself liable to a term of imprisonment of 7 years or to $500,000 in fine, even if that individual is a police.
Corey, I'm not going to interrupt you. You go on. Respond to that. Tell the public about what he has just said.
So essentially, the Attorney General is suggesting, truthfully, that yes, if you go to get a warrant, the only one that can authorize that warrant is the Chief Justice or a judge that he appoints. However, he either chose to omit or inadvertently omitted the fact that there is a clear section in the legislation that allows both the Commissioner of Police and the Director General of the Anti-Corruption and Anti-Terrorism Agency to bypass the courts and initiate wiretapping without actually going to get a warrant. It allows them to do it under 4 conditions. So, without going to get a warrant, if the Commissioner of Police or the Director General of the Anti-Corruption Agency thinks that's in the national interest, national security interest, if they think that there's a crime that's happening underneath the first schedule, if they think it's for the economic well-being of the state, or if it is in response to an international agreement and international treaty.
So it gives those 4 categories under which
these 2 functionaries and one directly appointed by the minister can go and effect wiretapping without going
court.
to
The court. Precisely.
I'll ask the producers to play the next clip clearly, because I want our listeners to hear the Attorney General in his words. This is a very short clip and we come back.
Thank you.
The exception to that rule is if the Commissioner of Police or the Director General seeks and obtains a warrant from the Chief Justice or such of the judge as he might assign.
So he says clearly that the only way that you can affect wiretapping is if you get a warrant, and that's not true. Section 5, subsection 2, subsection B clearly lays out that both those functionaries can affect a phone tapping without a warrant. It is even clearer when it says that when they do it without a warrant, that they can use the information that they have gathered from the warrantless interception to then go to the court to make an application for a warrant. So the idea that they didn't know seems fanciful.
But they brought the legislation to Parliament. The Attorney General brought it to Parliament. Presumably he read it and presumably he understood it.
Presumably he does. Which means that you have a situation where the House of Parliament and the Barbadian people are being misled. They are being misled and they're being led into a false sense of security under the guise of we are protecting you. And I will be honest, and I'll take a personal note here that while I am disturbed by the legislation and how it is drafted, the legislation itself could be amended once you have vibrant debate. What was more disturbing, what keeps me up at night, is the fact that the minister and the Attorney General are misleading the House and misleading the public of Barbados. That is the most disturbing, because the paradox there, the irony, sir, is that in one breath you're saying we are bringing this legislation to trust us to protect you. And in the next breath you're misleading us. So right off the bat, you are misleading the public.
Yes.
How could they trust then that this power now that is being put into these two functionaries that is going to be used only for crime and that the citizens have no need to worry? I think we are in a sad state of affairs.
Corey, Jason, Corey used the word trust. He's asking if we can, and we, meaning the Barbadian public, can we, in these circumstances, you've heard Corey speak as to the content of the Attorney General's speech in Parliament. Can the public of Barbados, in these circumstances, trust the government that we have a piece of legislation that is in the best interest of the public? And not only in the best interest of the public, in the best interest of this state called Barbados. How must the public feel tonight with all of the errors and difficulties?
First of all, we have to accept that Barbados is a very small community of people.
Yes.
166 square miles, about 290,000 living on this rock.
200 and?
About 290 people living on this rock.
1,000.
290,000. And everyone knows everyone.
Yes.
And information can be misused and abused. And therefore, in wrong hands, Barbadians become very vulnerable. And earlier I spoke about blackmail.
Yes.
And if information is stored or collected, and the wrong person has access to this information, it can be misused. And it can even consider a political party. Right? You get a lot of information. You can only the guys of interception. You can get the secrets of a political party.
Yes, indeed.
And you have the government who has the authority now to do interceptions. And they can say they can build those in the guise of national security. Right? Who's to say that what is deemed relevant, that is a broad word, using the legislation, is indeed irrelevant. And even if you use, or you say that you receive a warrant from a judge, you have judicial oversight. Remember, the warrant is issued ex parte.
Yes.
One side gives evidence.
That's right.
Right? And the subject only knows about this after the deception. Therefore, you are very vulnerable. And another thing, if you are intercepted and then there's no use for that information, the subject never knows. There's no obligation on the part of the government to inform the subject that they have been intercepted. And that creates a very shady and vulnerable atmosphere. Citizens.
Yeah.
So we are losing our rights as citizens, and we are trespassing on those. We're working on things.
Yeah.
So on one hand, while it may be laudable to say we want to intercept private communication to protect the public, we still have to scrutinize those who want to hold this power
Yes.
of scrutiny.
I want to add.
Should the public be calling for destruction of these records? And when I say destruction, I mean supervised destruction of these records. You see, when the police destroy weapons that are taken in their custody, not only weapons, contraband, drugs, they always give public disclosure. Look, we have these weapons, we have these drugs, we are destroying them. And they do it publicly. It's not the same thing happening with this information that has been collected.
Yes, I agree with that. But the legislation provides for the destruction of records.
Yeah, but that's looking forward. I'm talking about the information that they has been collected. What is happening to that information, which has presumably no value in the court, should not then be, is it not in the public's interest to call for the destruction of this information? But not unless it titillates or excites somebody, it does not have no value. It has no probative value in the court.
I believe not only should it be destroyed, but the person who were intercepted I believe so. You have done nothing with it. You have not brought any prosecution against anyone as far as I am aware.
Yeah.
Why are you now having information that baseless information? I think that the person should be told that we were doing an investigation. You were subject of that. We found nothing illegal on it. And this information that we had on you will now be destroyed or have been destroyed.
That's incorrect. I can see and feel.
Yes, I mean, again, you have to.
Person being told,
Yeah.
you were doing this, and we are going to destroy it. You think they should be told?
I believe you have to balance the. Again, it's a balancing act between the national interest in terms of the ability to fight crime, because, and I may divert a little from my colleague in that within law enforcement, and I'm not a police, but you may have tapped. Let's say you suspect that myself and Jason, we were involved in a criminal enterprise. You may tap us and you may get
You may get
something that is may be usable against me, but not Jason. But if you tell Jason, yeah, good. But if you tell Jason, that may alert me to what's happening. So there has to be a balance in terms of being able to be still able to give the police the tools, and it may be a continuing thing. So that has to be a balance in that. The other point I wanted to make very quickly though is going back a little bit to what I consider to be almost the subterfuge of the Attorney General, is that after the Attorney General spoke, the government actually put out information almost trying to reassure the public. But that information continued to be the same, along the same line of giving half-truths, as it were. We're going to have a look at that. We can have a quick look at the first one that they put out. And you will see from up, right? I think it's up now. It says, so the Government Information Service puts out a message, what you need to know. We could have really just added what else you need, what else you may need to know. Because in the first one, it says, law-abiding citizens have nothing to fear. That's what they're saying. It says that the measures target criminals and threats to national security. Normal, ordinary people can go about their normal life. Mm-hmm. That's correct. But they're trying to give a churches, but I do have to be on. No, that's fine. You made a very good point. In other words, they're getting ahead narrative as it were. The legislative process. Yeah. You're trying to reassure the public as the debate is happening. Yes. That you have nothing to fear. Yes. To the extent that you may quell or you may quiet the protest. Yes, indeed. And again, it's half truths, but what our response to it is, yes, it targets or repeat then what they're saying. So they're saying, certainly, they're saying law-abiding citizens have nothing to fear. Mm-hmm. The measures target criminals and the threats to national security, not ordinary people going about their daily lives. Mm-hmm. Now that's interesting. You can dovetail back to what the Attorney General originally said. Yes. They were wiretapping all along. For decades? For decades, he said. Mm-hmm. Yes, it targets this bill. And again, I don't know if he said it tonight, but I think for our listening public, you need to be clear. Mm-hmm. We are not saying there should not be any wiretapping or any legislation that allows for law enforcement to have this tool. But it must be common sense legislation, and it must be legislation that is thoughtful. And within the legislation, you must have guardrails that protect the rights of citizens. Mm-hmm. So when I see like this, mm-hmm. you have nothing to fear, mm-hmm. and it has a half truth in it. Yeah. Then there seems to be a lot. You do have something to fear because, as we consistently said, mm-hmm. Section 5(2) of the Act allows the Commissioner of Police and the Director General to wiretap without a warrant. So it's a bit of a half truth. We do have something to fear. Public. Not only without a warrant. Not just and not just supervision. In judicial scrutiny and intervention. Because when you come to ask for a warrant, you have to present evidence precisely why you think that a crime is either being committed or is possible of being committed to the extent that you can prevent that crime. So it comes to scrutiny such that when you bring that evidence, you have, and I think we mentioned this in our last program, you have the highest ranking officers in the third arm of government. So for our listeners, our government is made up of two arms. You have the administration, which is the Prime Minister, Cabinet. You have the legislature, which is made up of the 30 seats in the House of Parliament and the 21 seats in the Senate. Then you have the judicial. And what this legislation is purporting to set up is that when you go to get a warrant, you as the administration, you are about to do something that can infringe the rights of the citizen. And therefore, you need a second arm of government to scrutinize it before you can exercise that power. The judicial, the judges. So that is that is how it should work. I want to ask you a question. The answer to it. Here, Lawrence, take a lot. This is an application. Yes.
Yes. Can That's a very good question, and the answer is yes.
Yes. All of us agree, Ensley.
Yes.
Jason, the court is an application to the court. And you bring evidence to the court, you're saying, Judge, look, I have this evidence. On the basis of this evidence, I want to pursue a surveillance.
Yes.
And the judge can say,
The judge can reject that application.
You can say no.
Yes.
Yes.
Because what the section 10 of the act actually lays out. Section 10 of the act lays out how you make the application and the conditions under which the judge is able to grant that application. So it lays out very clearly the scope of how you make that application and the evidence that you have to present in order to be granted the warrant. And it lays out the things that the judge can consider in granting that application. If you come and you have not met all of those circumstances in section, I said 10, but it's actually section 7 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't meet all of that criteria, the judge can send you back to come again.
Mm-hmm.
So the judicial scrutiny is very, very important because it is in place in order to protect the rights of the citizen.
normally ask them, don't get legalistic. I want us to get
Now, that evidence before the judge has to reach a certain standard.
If I wanted,
Yes,
I want to jump.
Has to reach a certain standard.
You see, the judge depends on law enforcement evidence, which may not always be independently verified, right? And in urgent cases, the threshold for bypassing full judicial scrutiny could be open to abuse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have to be very, very, very careful, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
that we do not allow this piece of legislation to pass in its present form. Because
The protest.
it's too
Yes. Well, it's too dangerous.
but that's a better word.
I was coming back, though, Corey, to the standard of proof. Because you're bringing evidence to a judge. You're saying, Judge, I have evidence. I have proof. Now, you and I know, and all of us know that in the criminal court, that standard is high. Proof beyond reasonable doubt. In the civil court, proof on a balance of probabilities. Maybe so, maybe otherwise.
But
What's the standard here?
Right. In this case, there has to be reasonable suspicion. So you have to present a reasonable case as to
Okay.
if there is a.
So it's a balance of probabilities
It's a
then?
balance.
Yes.
So
Okay.
you have to be able to give, because if they had the proof, they would just bring the case. They would just
Yes, of course. Of course.
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That then goes over to the
Mm-hmm.
prosecution. So when you have law enforcement coming to get a warrant, you have to demonstrate that there's reasonable suspicion, reasonable cause to think that John A. Brown is either in the process of committing a crime or he's suspected or about to commit a crime. And you have to bring that evidence to the judge. He has to be satisfied that you've met that reasonableness threshold.
When I mentioned standard of relation to what? In the, presumably it's an affidavit. And the affidavit just can't say, well, I believe and I hear. There must be some substance.
Yes.
And what I'm saying, the nature of that substance.
Yeah. The key here is that you have a judicial officer, a judge, the chief justice or a judge that he assigns that is able to examine that evidence.
Yes.
You want someone beside the functionary, besides the commissioner of police, to examine that evidence
We're back on. We're back. We apologize. Uh, we're sorry about that. We seem to have been having some. I don't think there were phone tapping us here or wiretapping us. Just one of the problems that we'll have from time to time. We're dependent on man-made systems. May I proceed, Director? Yes, Corey, we were in the middle of discussing the evidence that would come before a judge, and you and I were agreeing that perhaps the threshold of that evidence it doesn't have to be beyond reasonable doubt, perhaps not. We just, the Commissioner of Police would just have to satisfy the judge that he has something, that there's some basis, and having that basis, let me tap the phone. That's where we were.
Yes, and the key there is that you need judicial scrutiny.
You need judicial scrutiny.
You need the third arm of government. You need judges with extensive experience to be able to look at this information and be able to make a determination if a citizen's right to privacy can be infringed. Right?
And we need go back. We need to reverse a bit and tell the public, here is this procedure, this process by which you are required to go to court, take your affidavits containing your evidence, convince the judge. Yet, in spite of that procedure, the Commissioner of Police and the Director may bypass that. And it seems that the parliamentarians on the government side did not know this. Yes, Jason?
I'm saying to you that if the Commissioner of Police can grant permission for the police to intercept, to me, that is a breach of natural justice. Because you are granting yourself permission to intercept people. And there's no, you're not verifying the process. Right? So I think this is a very loose piece of legislation in this regard.
Yes.
Where you have the Commissioner of Police. That's like me walking the building and saying, okay, I am searching for XYZ, and then I'm the judge too. I'm the police, I'm the judge, I'm everything. And if you're gonna have separation of powers, let it be separation of powers. So therefore, you have the judiciary, you have the police, which is part of the executive branch of government. You don't want to bring them together because then you create chaos, and you also infringe on the judiciary.
Yes.
The Commissioner of Police is not really a judge, and therefore let the police do the investigation or investigating.
Yes.
And let the judge be the judge.
Well, yes, be the arbiter.
But I would
yes,
want
Ensley.
I would just want to I know we've on the legislation proper, but this legislation was brought by the Attorney General. And I think it is important that the role of the Attorney General should be held up to scrutiny, because he is responsible for bringing legislation to Parliament that conforms in its legality, and also in the sense where it is protective or brings protection to the rights of the citizens. And in this regard, I think he has failed with this legislation in this present form.
I'm going to ask, I've asked you some difficult questions, Ensley, and I apologize to you. Can I ask you an easy question? Should the government have been involved in phone tapping? Prior to all of this, well, the legislation has not been passed. Should a government be involved in phone tapping?
This is certainly a crime fighting method.
Yes. Serious crime.
Serious crime fighting. And should not be used by any government authority
Mhm.
as their play toy.
Mhm. Mhm.
This should be solely in the domain of the Barbados Police.
Police. Right.
Government passed the legislation,
Mhm.
but government has no involvement
Mhm.
in the supervision
Mhm.
of the legislation.
Mhm.
If that is so, then it means that government, their hands are, they are overreaching into the police service.
Corey, again, I can see you and feel you thinking government's involvement.
No,
Yes or no?
I agree with my colleague.
Absolutely not.
No, it shouldn't be. The legislation itself should provide for law enforcement tool
Mhm.
and
Exclusively.
exclusively a law
Yes.
enforcement tool. And it should have all of the guardrails that keep out government and government ministers
Mhm.
in any form or fashion
Mhm.
in its
Mhm.
involvement.
Mhm.
Because once they are involved at any part of the process,
Yes.
there is the possibility for mistrust, you see. And I made the point last time I was here, and I'll make the point now, that it is not about the present government specifically as much as it is about successive
All
governments.
government.
All governments.
Yes.
Because you may be in today and out tomorrow.
Precisely.
Yeah. So it is a matter of seeing that we want to have a piece of legislation that the citizenry can be confident
Mhm.
that it is there for law enforcement,
Yes.
but that it protects the rights of the citizenry. What does that look like? It looks like in the hands of the law enforcement agencies who are mandatorily required to go to the judiciary for scrutiny before a warrant can be,
Mhm.
before a wiretapping, I beg your pardon, can be instituted.
Mhm.
Strict reporting requirements both back to the judiciary
Mhm.
and then to the monitoring commission, and a following up and investigation by the monitoring commission to make sure that everything has been done correctly.
Mhm.
No government ministers involved at all.
Jason, there are persons, and I think the numbers are growing, who believe that the people should reject this legislation, should petition and protest for this legislation in its present form to be rejected. What's your view on that? You're accepting of it, or you would
in its
have
present
it
form, a clear no.
a clear no?
Yes, because we have to really consider what powers we are giving the government.
Yes.
When you're intercepting private communication,
Mhm.
you're going into people's phones.
Yes.
You're seeing their messages. You're hearing their conversation.
Mhm.
You're seeing their bank accounts.
Yes.
You're seeing personal, private photos. You could destroy families. A
Indeed.
man and a woman who are married
Mhm.
and someone who's having an extramarital affair is
Mhm.
really not the business of the government.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if that information is shared with the wrong person,
Mhm.
you can destroy a family. You can have a person in a position in this country, a senior position, whether that person may even be a judge.
And you mentioned the issue of blackmail
Right, that's
and
what
the
I'm saying.
extortion of monies from a person based
Exactly.
on what you have.
Right. So if someone has to make a decision, that person could be any person, a
Mhm.
senior person, a judge, a bank manager, and that information gets in the wrong hand,
Mhm.
it puts that person on a serious pressure,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I also mentioned what can happen to democracy in this country,
Mhm.
especially with an opposition party,
Mhm.
and you have a government trying to hold on to power.
Mhm.
If not used properly, that information can be abused,
Yes. Yes.
and and it will prevent the citizenry from
Mhm.
getting democracy.
Yes. Yes.
So this is not just simply passing legislation because you want to give law enforcement a tool,
Mhm.
but it's passing legislation to provide a tool for law enforcement with government being responsible
Mhm.
in doing so.
Yes.
right? So yes, interception legislation can be used for good, but in its present form, especially how it's being constituted, how the commission is being constituted and so on, begs the question, should we accept it in its present form? I said no. I feel after this meeting after this show is over, Barbadians should be asking the parliamentary representatives in the various constituencies to say no.
Well, they've spoken in favor of it. No point asking them.
No, the constituents.
Asking their parliamentary representatives? 29 people?
Call their phone and say, stop it.
Jason, the 29 of them are in favor of it. There's no question to ask them now.
Must represent the people.
Do they?
Representatives don't represent a government, they represent the people.
Don't let's look. That's futile in my mind. Corey, you have some other GIS stuff to display?
Yeah, I actually want us to, because the key to this legislation is kind of step by step. And we've looked at the requirement for a warrant under certain circumstances. We looked at how they can go without a warrant, which to me is the biggest problem with the legislation, that everybody's kind of skirting around. All of the Attorney General, I don't know if you forgot, you know, the Home Affairs Minister got up and parroted that same thing. I don't know if he, you know. So there seems to be this avoidance of Section
5.2b, yes.
And I think for our viewers, ask about Section 5.2b.
Yes.
That is the most dangerous part.
That allows them to proceed without the court's intervention.
The Attorney General also mentioned that there is a monitoring mechanism in place. And that then seems to be the tail end of the legislation, which if done properly, what has set up now by the Independent Monitoring Commission is an opportunity for the functionaries to be under audit, as it were. The functionaries to be under audit.
Okay.
So
I think we have something up. Is that the same one? Or is this a different one?
I want you to go to the next video where the
next video, okay.
The second one, the one that's marked as number 2 and number 5. While the producers pull up that video, the Attorney General then speaks to the monitoring of it, and he says that we are putting a monitoring commission in place. And what we're seeing is that this monitoring commission was originally supposed to be appointed by the minister. The Prime Minister capitulated on this one point to say that the commission will be appointed by the president. But they never went on to correct the other aspects of it.
Yes.
Because the monitoring commission, the salaries of the monitoring commission
are determined by the
minister. The minister can fire the members of the
Who is the minister, Corey Greenidge?
And the minister in the legislation is defined as the minister responsible for the interception of communications. What I have noted is that minister, if an application for a warrant comes before a judge under the heading of national security, one of the pieces of evidence that must come before the judge is a declaration by the minister that is in fact for the purpose of national security.
Really? Yeah. The minister participates even then?
Yeah, so I'll repeat how it works. So the
minister is above it.
So follow what I'm saying.
Yes.
If the commissioner of police comes to the court and say, I would like to get a warrant, and the reason that the crime or the area that I'm trying to prevent is as a matter of national security, part of his evidence must be a declaration from the minister
responsible for national security.
Well, the minister in here, that it is in fact for national security purposes. And if I could follow that thread, my understanding is that the only minister that can declare anything a matter of national security is a minister responsible for national security. So I'm drawing a nexus. I'm not sure if that is what they meant to say, but that is the nexus that I'm drawing. That the minister in here must have some either direct or indirect powers under the being the minister of the national security.
You and I are smiling because we don't want to say which minister it
Well,
is.
I wanted to
Yes, yes, Jason.
this final point. Well, the appointment process could be perceived as lacking independence, right, from the executive,
Mhm.
and this could potentially undermine trust in impartiality, because we are tingling with the minister and the appointment of the commission. And if the minister has so much power
Mhm.
to appoint or disappoint,
Mhm.
then the real power lies
With the minister. Precisely.
And therefore, you are eating away at public trust.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then when the minister appoints these people,
Mhm. And fixes their salary.
yes,
Mhm.
it really says to me that the minister is behind
Control and
the
influence.
interception
Precisely.
of information.
Precisely.
And then what is the minister doing with this information?
You want to call them puppet of the minister.
Who is the
And
minister?
Ensley's laughing.
Corey, Jason is right.
Yes, 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 yes. Corey, we have another video, another slide, or
I wanted to make the point, just one other point with respect to the monitoring and the reporting.
Mhm.
And I think this is very important for our viewers to understand.
Yes,
See, there are a
please.
lot of challenges in this legislation, but there are some linchpins that you want to make sure that the public understands. And I hope that the listening viewers can follow this. If the Commissioner of Police, the two functionaries, the Commissioner of Police or the Director General, approach the court for a warrant,
Mhm.
the legislation provides that the judge can institute that he requires a progress report.
Mhm.
So he may ask for a progress report.
Mhm.
The progress report would come back to the judge and can also go on to the monitoring commission.
Mhm.
Once that case is over and once that warrant has expired, the Commissioner of Police and the Director General have to send a final report to the judge, and that final report makes its way to the commission.
Mhm.
There's a third report in the legislation, sir,
Yes.
and that third report is the annual report.
Mhm.
So within 3 months of the close of the year,
Mhm.
an annual report has to be prepared. All of the statistics,
Mhm.
all of the information with respect to the wiretapping, not the wiretapping information itself,
Mhm.
but all of the statistics and all of the wiretapping that has been done
Mhm. Mhm.
has to be sent to the monitoring commission.
Yes.
On every occasion prior to this one, the two functionaries, Commissioner of Police as well as the Director General,
Mhm.
are together in the legislation as the authorized officers.
Mhm.
At the point where the annual report has to be sent to the commission, only one is mentioned, and that's the Commissioner of Police. The Director General is not required to send an annual report. So follow my logic.
Yes.
If the Director General of the Anti-Corruption and Anti-Terrorism
Mhm.
Agency
Mhm.
effects a wiretapping without a warrant, there's no progress report because it was without a warrant. There's no final report to the judge because it was without a warrant. So the only way that the monitoring commission can get a report of wiretapping that has happened without a warrant is an annual report, to which he's not required to send any.
Well, sounds very good on paper. But I want to ask Ainsley a question. We have the main actors here. You have the Commissioner of Police. You have the Director General of Anti-Terrorism, and you have three persons who call themselves an independent monitoring commission. And somewhere, according to our argument, lurking behind all of this is a minister. So that person, possibly, and beyond possibly, probably connected with the activity of board. I don't know. I've heard the procedure that you've spoken of. Ainsley, do you think that these 6 people will be in active communication, maybe from month to month, week to week, or day to day, in relation to
It is reasonable to conclude that there will be some interaction. How much interaction we don't know.
We don't know. But you think that there will be interaction?
But I am more sure it is reasonable to conclude, because if I am part of something, there should be.
I heard, Corey, you're not waiting for any report after 3 months, are you? One day you pick up the phone and say, look, John Brown, how are things going? You got a fella yet? And the fella that you're monitoring, what are you finding out? Corey, you waiting on a report? Or in the real world, are we communicating with some frequency?
I would make my comment in this way. It is not inconceivable to think that if you put these actors into the kitchen, you know, we have.
You're a master of language, you know.
I'm tempted to say thank you, but I'm gonna continue.
I'm going to quote you. It is not inconceivable.
But I choose that language because
Yes.
I don't want our audience to believe that this is about pointing fingers.
Yeah.
I want to have the broader picture, because I continue to say you could be the one abusing power today, and you could be the subject of an abuse of power tomorrow. So I don't want us to give the impression that it's specifically about pointing fingers. What it is that we're trying to establish that you do not want an apparatus that can operate in the way that you are saying.
Well, look, we're identifying systemic weaknesses.
Correct.
That's
Perfect way of putting it. You do not want to have a system that is inherently weak.
Precisely.
To the extent that a minister could pick up the phone and get involved in wiretapping. You want to have a system that is built in such a way that has all of the guardrails, the functioning guardrails. And I say this because our privacy, our way of life, our sweet Barbados that we get so accustomed to, that we can enjoy it without fear. Do you understand that we don't have to be looking behind our backs and be suspicious of our government, that we are in a situation that we understand that legislation has been laid before the House of Parliament that is going to the Senate that protects us. Not because the Home Affairs Minister gets up in some kind of dramatic speech and declare that it is protecting us. That's not how it does. Save the dramatic speech and actually go into the legislation and fix it to the extent that it protects the rights of our citizens.
Thank you. We had promised that we would have looked at the discussion is excellent. I think the public must feel a debt of gratitude that you three gentlemen have shared as you have. Ensley,
I would also want to raise an issue with clause 9 of this bill.
Yes, please. I saw you making your note. So share it.
Which speaks to having obtained the warrant. This warrant is live for 120 days. What the legislation called in the initial period,
4 months,
right? For 4 months, the validity of this warrant to intercept the communication.
In other words, you have
that the authorities have 4 months
to do surveillance. Well, let's avoid the big word to tap the man's phone.
Right, 4 months. But this initial 4 months, this warrant can be renewed. And 9.2 states that if the judge is satisfied, he can renew that warrant for a further 120 days.
4 months.
4 more months.
Yes. Yes.
But section 9.3 says where a judge is satisfied that exceptional circumstances exist which would justify a renewal of the warrant beyond the first renewal period.
This is every second of every day for 100.
So he can renew that warrant now for a further 120 days.
You're talking about. This is
So
the
you
period of
are
monitoring?
speaking
A
of
year.
a person who is monitored
A
for
year.
1 year.
Under the bill.
Over 1 year.
1 year.
Every minute of every day.
No
A person.
Of every week of every month.
No privacy.
Who is it going to be? That is what every citizen should be asking. Who will it be if this legislation as stands is passed?
Truly invasive.
Very much so. Very, very much so.
Yes, Corey.
I want to comment on the duration of the warrant. And I want to be clear that we are all of us here are officers of the court. That's our duty is to the court. And we understand, I mean, Ensley, you've been at the criminal bar, you've been a police officer before. I'm not sure if you've been at the criminal bar, but we have to have a piece of legislation that allows law enforcement to do its job, right? So one may say you cannot necessarily telegraph the time it may take to gather sufficient evidence to bring a credible case to court. One may argue, and I'm just being a bit of a devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
One may argue, I need 3 months or I need 4 months. We may need 3 months, or we may need 4 months, or we may need 6 months. I don't disagree with you. I think the initial period is too long. And I say that because is 120 days, which is 4 months.
Yeah.
I think that and that is for a maximum of 120 days.
It's 30 days.
It's 30 days. So I'm saying you should have a scenario where either 30, maybe 60 days for an initial warrant. And once that time has expired, the Commissioner of Police should have to return to that judge.
Yeah.
And I've heard you say it before, Ensley, not necessarily with the original set of evidence. You have to come and demonstrate new evidence or give the judge an opportunity to say, yes, you are on the right track. I will extend the warrant for an additional 60 days. So I think that there's room in the legislation, and I put it this way, for continuous judicial scrutiny. You see, if you're off on a frolic for 120 days, you understand what I'm saying? That is it. To me, that is excessive. But that can be a point of debate with respect to the structure of the bill.
Yeah.
There are some things in this bill that are not points of debate. Yeah.
All right. If we want to sanitize our language, we can stay with the various sections in the legislation. But gentlemen, permit me to say that I think Barbadians are feeling aspects of dictatorship. I think that's what they're feeling. We can say what we want, we can read the legislation, and the legislation can sound pretty. But I think that is what is concerning Barbadians, that there are features of dictatorship that are over this country that we knew as a different place. I therefore want to introduce the second aspect of tonight's program. May I?
Yes,
And I want to look at the government's proposal to give the BDF police powers of arrest. I think there is a clip in which the Attorney General said that this proposal is very much under consideration, and beyond consideration that this is something the government is going to do. Which means that in addition to phone tapping, we're likely to have officers regularly on the streets of this country with the powers, the police powers, to arrest. Ensley, you were a police officer. You were a police prosecutor. Tell me about the specter or the instance of a BDS soldier functioning like a regular police officer. Tell the public something about that. How feasible is it?
Let me first say that Barbados first had a police force from as far back as 1835.
Yes, correct.
Right? So this organization is how much? Too old. Yes, very, very old. And I must say, has served the country as its sole
180, is it? 180 years?
and has served this country well as its primary law enforcement agency.
Yes. Yeah.
For government to now seek to place the powers of arrest into the hands of the soldiers, the Barbados Defense Force, is government acknowledging that they have failed
Excellent.
in its ability to deal with the crime situation in Barbados? To place that power of arrest into the hands of the soldiers. You have to train the soldier.
Yes.
Because the roles of the soldier and the police are very much different. Because the soldier is to, as I understand it, to protect the country from an outside
force, yeah.
outside forces. I don't think that much thought, this is my view, has been given before that announcement was made. There is a lot more to that that needs to be gone in, rather than just saying that
they can work together.
They can arrest. After the arrest, then what?
You were telling me earlier, tell the public.
After the arrest, then what? Will the soldiers be charging persons? And we know only too well that when law enforcement powers are given to soldiers, there is the possibility, or the possibility for wrongdoing is not uncommon. And you see it internationally. So I think government needs to tread with this one very, very cautiously. But even more than that, something like this, where is the public consultation? And I've said before that this government seems to be taking the citizens of Barbados for a ride. I have the majority. I will wake up any morning. I will pass any law, and you have to accept it.
In jerk reactions.
Right? And we must be careful and be very observant as the type of legislation that this government has been bringing to Parliament in recent times. The cybercrime, tint. Now you hear with this interception, and now giving powers of arrest to the police, to the soldiers, to the BDF. This is concerning. Very, very concerning.
Concerning because it all bears the print of dictatorship. I mean, if I go to a country, and I've gone to two, I won't name them, and when you see soldiers with large guns checking your car, the car that you're in, you don't feel good about that country. And it gives you an image and an impression of that country that's not favorable.
So to be coming now to give the power of arrest to the soldier, to the Barbados Defense Force, this country is drifting from its democratic
is a change in our democratic way of life.
Yes. You had mentioned to me earlier, and I'm gonna ask you again. You're stopping at arrest, but you had told me, are they going to investigate as well? And are they trained to come to court and give evidence? Because you know, Ensley, and I know from being at the bar, the policeman's work really begins when he has to prepare to come to court. And sometimes you think it's so unfair. He works late the night before and in court 9 o'clock in the morning to give evidence.
So they as I said,
You were saying retraining. There needs
the soldiers have to be. There's no two ways about it. You just can't get up and say you have the power to arrest when you're with the police.
Because you have to investigate.
You have to know what is an arrestable offense
and what evidence is admissible,
and what evidence you need to substantiate the arrest.
Precisely.
So just getting up and saying, "Oh, they want to work."
You can do a policeman's job. You're not like that.
No.
How long is training school in Barbados?
Maybe that 5 to 6 months.
5 to 6 months. And you live in.
And you live in.
Which means you're up there training every day. Not
You're
only
training
the
every day.
physicality of policing, but the intellectual.
There's a classroom.
Again,
I will urge the government to rethink, because these legislations, as they have been coming, are placing the citizenry under much fear.
And not only the citizenry, Jason, but the innocent citizenry. And that's a concern that we have.
I'll let you know another secret.
Yes, please.
I was on course 110 at the regional police training.
Really?
School. But I'd say this. I also
never put this on your TV for us.
I was a sergeant major. But anyhow, training is very important. Police are trained to serve and protect citizens. Soldiers are trained to kill. And sometimes, in some instances, without thinking, you're given a command, and in a split second, you execute that command. Shoot and kill. And when you have soldiers coming in the neighborhoods where there are children, and there's a hostile atmosphere, soldiers are not going to de-escalate.
Yeah.
They're going to escalate. And when you have a machine gun that shoots several rounds a second, you can imagine the damage, because soldiers are to protect the state from invaders.
I'm here thinking of Tennyson's charge of the Light Brigade, Corey. There's not the reason why.
So, to me, this Barbados Labour Party-led government is moving from a democratic society to one where there's
a military culture.
Yes, that army like,
yeah,
and you're forcing laws on people. You tell people by X time you think God to change, right?
Yes, repressive government.
But why? And to me, it seems as though they're trying to hold on to power at any cost.
Precisely.
Right? If you
under the guise of protection.
Oh yes. And if you are concerned about crime, certainly there were governments before this present government that dealt with crime.
Yes.
And we never had to put the Barbados Defense Force on the streets of Barbados. In fact, we have to be very careful too, you know. This is a tourism-driven economy.
It's coming to that, yes.
And when tourists see, in fact, I had a very serious discussion with
completely saying when tourists see what?
When tourists see a state where the military is in control.
Well, the military is on the streets.
Right, on the streets.
Yeah.
Right? Then they begin to wonder, should I go there? Should I invest there?
Precisely.
Right?
Precisely.
And I was coming to the point where I had a serious meeting with a very prominent businessman in Barbados today. And he said that he's building some, and someone who invested money said, had I realized this is what was happening, I would not have invested. So the government must be careful in the
As
The
to the
image,
we
yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Corey, you wanted to.
My
Tourism man.
my limited comment on the proposal that the Attorney General proffered on the House floor, the defense force having these arrest powers, we did not get a clear indication, because once you've switched to moving from the constabulary to the defense force, because the collaboration of those two agencies is nothing new. You've had instances where you needed to enhance security for one thing or another. Like, for example, crop over, you will see an enhanced security, those types of things.
Yes.
I didn't quite understand what was the purpose that all of a sudden we needed to have this military intervention. And I only say that to say that there seems to be this attempt to convince the country that they're doing all to fight crime.
Yes.
Where the key things that are at the heart of the criminal activity in Barbados seem not to be addressed. So you have tint coming to the fore, which has so far been a lot of confusion. And as September 1 approaches, it will be even more confusing. You have the Interception of Communications Bill. You have this comment or this proposal about arrest powers to the defense force. And this government has yet to come with a serious proposal for how firearms at this rate are coming through our ports.
Yes.
What is the root cause? Where is the weakness in our borders that the streets are now flooded with all types of firearms, including automatic weapons of war? And we cannot hear from the government how we are going to stop that. Where is it happening? Who we are bringing them in? So there seems to be these smoke and mirrors in different areas to make it seem as if they're being tough on crime, but when the truth of the matter is, you never get into the root of the problem.
Let me give you we call ourselves honest voices with people. Let me give you an honest opinion. Crop over, you hear people in the band saying, "This is the truth." I was happy to see the soldiers there, because some time ago there were people invading the bands and misbehaving and so on, and the revelers felt threatened. And then the soldiers appeared. Let's be honest. Let's have honest discussion. And after this happened, a lot of people said, "Oh, I felt better. I felt that I could go in the band. I felt protected. I saw the soldiers there that had their guns, and the chance that people would invade the band lessened." Okay, so that's fine. That's Kadooman. Is this something that the country will accept daily beyond crop over? The presence of, think about it, the presence of soldiers along the streets with their guns.
I want to get a bit
Not
further.
crop over now. This is day-to-day life.
I want to get a bit further.
Yes.
Now you're using a machine gun. If a soldier
Machine gun or the M60 or something?
it's a machine gun.
Oh, okay,
machine gun.
machine gun. Okay, fine.
Several rounds a second.
I don't have the expertise.
So, and it's not like on TV.
Uh-huh.
Right. Who is going to take responsibility if a soldier opens fire on a crowd? Now you give the person the authority to go on the streets, Barbados, with M16. And God forbid, there's an altercation, fire is open, and several people are injured, women and children.
Surely he would fire into the air.
We hope so. But remember, we start by saying police are trained, serve to protect. Soldiers are trained, shoot to kill. So I think putting soldiers on the road willy-nilly or as police officers is a bad idea. Yes, you can have them assist the police in certain special operations. But powers of arrest, acting like a police officer, that is a difficult question to answer. And you should really take your time to consider the repercussions of such.
Corey, would you feel, to use the language of the police motto, would you feel protected and reassured if on a daily basis you're driving to work and at various points you see soldiers with their large guns?
I will answer your question this way. I have visited in 2013, I believe, 2014. I visited Colombia, Bogota, Colombia. And that was my first experience.
What year?
In 2014,
2014.
or 2013, 11 years ago. And that was my first experience in being in a state where there's military personnel as a matter of commonplace on the streets. And it was an uncomfortable feeling. And you know the history of Colombia in terms of the taking over of the parliament and taking over the judiciary. So it was an eye-opener for me because it made me understand what a beautiful place Barbados is.
Yeah.
And sometimes the things that we take for granted, being able to sit in my front porch and drink a cup of coffee, and you know, it's just some things that we take for granted. And
simple pleasures.
The simple pleasures. And if we are heading in a direction where there are military personnel on the street with powers to arrest, I think we're moving away from what we know Barbados to be. There are a lot of constitutional issues that can arise because, as my colleague mentioned, training is very important. And the arrest of a person, you can easily infringe your constitutional rights if that is not carried out under proper training. So I think the government needs to be very thoughtful, or it needs to be more thoughtful in its approach to common sense legislation. Yeah.
Let us go to our board. I'm seeing highlighted Dighton Alley's statement. I think the director highlighted that for some good reason. I do not believe that Barbadians want soldiers in a general something
patrol daily
as policemen. Too many at the
many outside of Barbados will now be viewed as a military state.
Dighton, thanks for your comment. Dighton is answering the question for us. We are here as lawyers and politicians. Dighton is saying that he does not think that Barbadians would want soldiers in general patrol daily as policemen. Let's get some other comments while we await some other comments on the board. Ensley, speak for Barbadians. Do you think Barbadians would feel reassured and protected and served by the presence on the streets of soldiers with guns beyond Kaduma?
My first view of that is no. No. It is not what Barbadians are accustomed to. We see the police in as much as what you may want to say. The police in Barbados is very much respected. Maybe that not as
it's raining a bit.
It's raining a bit. But the police are still respected in Barbados. What this doubling of the roles of the defense force by giving them the power to arrest, to my mind, is where government seeking to solve the institutional problems within the Barbados Police Service with members of the defense force. Now, I have not immersed myself in our crime report, but I am sure that within that report there would have to be some that report would deal with the police in a holistic manner as to what could be the shortcomings of the police force, as it were. But this is a very concerning state of affairs by giving the army that power to arrest. It is one that causes for persons to sit up and not
to go along with blind loyalty, because we know that if it is when that authority is given, it may not be easily recalled.
Come back. Yes. John Rock is agreeing with you, I think. Why would you want to give soldiers powers of arrest when they are working alongside the police officer who already has powers of arrest? I think Patricia Green is saying something very interesting as well. Can we come to Patricia? But at Kaduma, the soldiers are there to work along with the police. Vihoy, who is always very interested. Hello, Vihoy. We try to find out Vihoy's name, though. I certainly will feel safer, but I also know something isn't right. We had Dighton Alley before the Costa Fields. Pedro Drummond, welcome, Pedro. Pedro is saying something very dramatic. What's he saying? With soldiers ain't had powers to arrest ever since. No, Pedro. No. Thought they didn't have powers to charge. No, Pedro, they didn't have those powers. They're merely ancillary. But why aren't police in the community? Bihoy says, and Maureen Denny says, what does Maureen Denny say? And Keith Padmore, soldiers were doing patrols with police for decades. This occurred during the yes, I remember that, during the sugarcane season, intended to prevent fires. So joint patrols aren't new. It's this new power of arrest that's new. Thanks, Keith Padmore, for the comment. Lemuel Tell, always that very interesting. Welcome, Lemuel. Someone close, go back up to Lemuel, please. Or down, as the case may be. That's fine. Welcome, Lemuel. Someone close to me had a similar experience on a trip to Venezuela. You see, so it's the Latin American countries, and no prejudices here. But that is not us. This is not us. This appearance of the military in the streets, this militarization of local culture, that's not Barbados. You read the tourist manuals, and the tourists say they like Barbados, and they like the sense of freedom, and they like the people, that the people are so friendly. When you put a soldier on the street with a large gun, the element of friendliness disappears, gentlemen.
It's a band-aid on an open wound.
Band-aid on an open wound.
Yeah, the government must go and deal with the root cause of crime.
Yes.
And don't make it worse.
Yes.
By putting soldiers that can escalate.
Look, I want to ask a direct question. Ensley, you may be the person. Do we have a shortage of police officers in Barbados?
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Do you know the complement presently?
I don't.
I used to be told the ideal number is 1,500. Years ago, they used to say that. I don't think, are we at 1,500 now? We're not.
I'm a little removed from it.
You're a little removed from it too. So apart from the numbers,
I know that there is a shortage.
Yes.
Even when there is recruitment.
Yes.
Officers come in, but then there is a rollover.
I heard of that.
Through retirement, and even some who were just recruited.
I heard of that. And I don't want to alarm the public.
Right.
So. But we have heard, Corey, that you've had new recruits come in, spend a few months and leave. Yes, in Barbados. And we don't want to alarm the public. But we come back to our plea that the government needs to modernize the police force, the police service, I beg your pardon, in terms of promotion and in terms of pay. It must become more attractive, not for the sake of being attractive, but it must become more attractive because of what they do. What they do is extremely important. And we are proving the importance of what they do now because we have this crime and we seem unable to control the crime. If you cannot control the crime, make your police service larger and make it more attractive so that they will work with higher morale. But we know why the morale may have been dropped. But we say that often. We're not going to refer to it again. But Corey, you're happy with the police service in Barbados generally?
I think
I
we
ask
as
that because you're the diplomat.
I believe that we have to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
And our police service have served the public well.
Yeah.
No particular institution is perfect. Of course, they will have their challenges, but I can't say that we are unhappy. I think one needs, and I'll repeat it here. I think one needs to be the focus of the government is actual measures that actually combat crime. You know, and I think if there are challenges within the police service as it relates to remuneration, as it relates to personnel issues in terms of promotions in a timely manner, because it tends to be the timeline tends to be the issue. I think that those things need to be properly addressed, such that if there's a morale deficiency within the police service, we want to make sure that that is done.
Yes.
But that takes a diligent, focused government to be targeted in terms of its approach.
Yeah.
These large, sweeping, dramatic pieces of legislation to almost bring a sense of we're doing it and we're doing it big. I think those things don't take us to the root cause of the problem. So if there are challenges within the police force, and I don't have the expertise to know all the challenges, but certainly if there are challenges, that needs to be a targeted and a deliberate attempt to deal with the challenges. I mean, we do see in the media, we had issues with promotions, we had issues with remuneration and back pay that was not paid over time. I mean, you know, we have to have a more focused government as it relates to dealing with our constabulary.
And the government has had 5 years actually. So 5 years. A term is 5 years. And Ensley, in your time, did you see a lot of serious reform within the police service, within the police force, which is now the police service? You did 38 years. And within that time, did you experience as a police officer any serious reform within the police service? Certainly in terms of pay and promotion.
Things happen over time. I think that what you would see changes within the police force. Some may not have been that dramatic that you would readily catch the eye.
I mean structural reform. Okay, let's say somebody abolished copper. So you went from constable straight to sergeant. That's one reform.
That's one reform.
In terms of rank, were there other reforms?
There were situations where a person, if they are to the stage to do an examination, let's say a constable, and he did that exam, he passed. He would be in the zone of promotion for X amount of years, and then he has to resit that exam again if he wasn't promoted.
He could stay in that zone for how many years?
That was changed, I think, in 1999, where then if a person sits the exam and passes in his rank, he would not have to do another exam as long as he remains in that rank, because he's already in the zone of promotion. Not that he will be promoted.
This zone of promotion became a zone of frustration for many.
Well, for many, we do. When he was there, but that was good. That was a good initiative. So it takes some of the pressure off of you to know that look, time up, I go back and do the exam.
I want to ask you a direct question, and Jason as well. Do you think there is a case for sweeping reform in the police service in relation to rank and attainment of rank and opportunity for promotion? Do you think there's room for sweeping reform? Or do you accept the system as it is, that, as we said before, a man can after 25 years be a constable?
There is room for fairness.
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 But you can't legislate.
You can legislate fairness,
Well, you can, but you can't legislate.
but I
Integrity.
think there is room for fairness. For too long, and it has always been, a person may feel hard done through promotion,
Mhm.
but not when he's hard done by persons that he thinks
And he thinks it has nothing to do with merit.
nothing to do with merit, and persons who were that he would classify as of lesser what should I say, what word? Yeah, being lesser in him in terms of knowledge of the job and
It's government, and when I say government, I mean all governments. Is government's reluctance to revamp the promotion system or to reform it, is that related to money? Are they afraid that if you have a more prolific scheme of promotion, that it is financially more burdensome? Say, for example, just an example, you have 25 sergeants, and why not have 50 sergeants? Is it the fear that 50 sergeants instead of 25 is a financial burden on the taxpayers of this country?
right. So then the nurses will say, but there's 25 staff nurses. Why don't have 50 staff nurses?
And the police
And the
officers
teachers-
will
the
tell you that
teachers
the
will
present
say-
situation justifies them.
The nurses will say the same thing. The
Well,
teachers
there
will
we
say
are.
we are just important. So I think that
So you have that fear as well.
if
that,
you look to
it could be a
move,
runaway train.
yes, if you look to move the police up, who make the police more important than
The criminals.
no, I was just looking in terms of the nurses or so. We should be entitled.
Well,
It's true.
the sick people make them important.
The
too.
teachers will say we entitled to this.
The children
So,
of need make them important.
um,
So we have to look entirely at our system of social values.
yes, but
How do
something
we evaluate people and their contributions to the society?
something definitely needs to happen within the police,
Mhm.
especially in terms of the pay of policemen.
So you support more pay for police officers.
Very much so.
That's what I was trying to get you to say.
Oh.
Last.
Very much so. And it is leading to a lot of frustration.
Of course. Of course.
And the morale is not what people may want it to be,
Mhm, mhm.
but the police, because of who they are
Yes.
and how they are,
Perceived. Treated.
how they made up,
Mhm,
let me say made up,
mhm.
will still continue to give and give despite not getting.
Yes. Yes. Why? Patriotism,
That is what it is.
dedication,
That is what it is.
commitment
The
to
love for the job and the
the
love
job.
to serve.
Yes.
And that is primarily what the police are doing.
Jason, you wanted to say, you wanted to add your bit to reforms,
Yeah,
the need for reforms in the police service.
Yeah. I think government should start looking at their policy positions, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to tell them what policy they should institute, right? But they must steal my ideas.
Mhm.
But you want to dissuade favoritism and reward service. And one of the policy positions, though, if an officer is in the force for X amount of years and the officer has passed the required examinations or exam,
Mhm.
then that officer should automatically be promoted.
Mhm.
For example, if you're there for 10 or 15 years, you did the sergeant's exam, you should be promoted to sergeant. And government is talking about a senior constable, perhaps we should go back to corporal.
Mhm, mhm.
Because everyone can't be a sergeant,
Precisely.
but you can give a
And
guy
everyone doesn't want to be a constable.
exactly.
So that intermediate stage
You
should
give
be
a
restored.
yeah, a little bit of responsibility
Mhm,
and dignity.
Precisely.
And with corporal, you get corporal pay.
Mhm, mhm.
So you're not going to stay at constable pay 25 years, struggling with a mortgage.
There we are.
Right.
There we are.
So with corporal, then you tend to feel a little better.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Yes.
a
There's
little
hope.
more value.
Yes. 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 The comments on the board are becoming very radical. Could we go up again? There is somebody who said something. Yes. Judy, Dottin jokes. And look, this is the public speaking. Barbados is moving away from a civilized country to I think she means a military country. Thanks for your comment, Judy. If that's how Barbadians are feeling,
Very frustrated.
you felt that the culture, the ethos is changing from
Peaceful.
peaceful,
Laid
civil
back,
place, a
yeah.
place where civilians are in charge, to a military
Dictatorship.
state. Kamhar, can we read Kamhar, or we shouldn't?
We should.
We should? Okay. The Prime Minister said a day or two ago she wants to read the DLP crime report. Let her read, learn, and implement. And yes, thank you, Kamhar. Look, this report on just about every page on Verla, the piece is coming in on Thursday to discuss the crime report. And thank you so much, Verla and Maxine and Bertie and all of the members of the Crime Commission for an excellent report. I don't believe the Prime Minister read it, to be quite frank with you. But the report is there. It will be online shortly for Barbadians. Keith Padmore, what's Keith Padmore saying? I haven't heard any complaint from the police regarding their inability to handle the criminals. I have to be careful how I read these things, you know. I should edit them first. So whose requests this power of arrest? Let's go beyond. Let's go beyond that. Bihoy is always very interesting. I don't know when last I saw a policeman in Bridgetown. So Bihoy, we know who you are. We know where you live. You're in Barbados. But he makes a very interesting comment. Bihoy says he doesn't know when last he saw a policeman in Bridgetown. Oh, it's a she. Thank you. I'm sorry, Bihoy. That's interesting. Years ago, when you walked into Bridgetown, the chap who used to have the little stick of authority, you see a lot of every few steps. Is this true, Jason? Are there fewer?
It's called a
police
key, not a
officers?
stick.
I apologize. I apologize to you, Jason. You're seeing fewer police officers, and he used to be strutting with this little cane, and people moved aside.
Yes.
People moved aside, and his immaculate uniform and his hat. They used to be in khaki. You call them what? Gazetted officers?
Yes.
Is Vihoy correct? Are we seeing fewer police officers in Bridgetown now?
Yes.
Are we seeing fewer people in Bridgetown?
Also in Spikestone and St. Peter, fewer police
Fewer
officers.
police officers.
Yes.
There's the absence from the landscape of the police officers.
Some
You
of
are
them
very
doing
curious about this.
12-hour shifts.
12-hour shifts?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, a guy told me that he's doing 12-hour shifts.
But that finished on Monday.
No.
But the president of the police association was lamenting the fact that the police were asked to work those long hours.
Yeah.
They just paid normal and not
Yes.
paid double pay
Yes.
as they were
They were
expecting.
promised.
They were promised.
But let's push the case for the police officers
So,
again.
Again,
Broken
police
promises.
working hard, overworked, underpaid. Right? But we were talking about the senior constables that the government was seeking to, or is seeking to have. And I'm wondering if
They came and inducted 46. You're laughing. 46 special constables last week into the full police service. And as I said, I thought I was going to Parliament to hear about the senior constables, which they were promised 18 months ago. 14, 16 months ago. And that hasn't happened. How do you have a police service with high morale, when 14 months after you've made a promise, you still have not kept it, and you have not promoted the gentlemen who've done 20 years to the post of senior constable, and you haven't paid them. And now you're forced to bring in BDF people to compliment them.
That is not going to raise the morale
It's not.
of the police. I can assure.
I want to ask you the question that Ensley. What possibly could that association do to the average police officer who's out there patrolling? I take it you never did it.
No, I've worked alongside these soldiers.
Oh my, what that?
I've worked alongside these.
Is it harmonious?
In some instances, yes, because the soldiers came, I guess, with their own instructions.
Really?
I said, I guess.
Oh, I see.
With their own instructions.
You're very careful about it.
So when they come to work with the police, we then do our own briefing.
Yes.
But they would obviously, or more likely than not, come to us being briefed by their
own people. So it was a marriage of convenience.
So you're briefed with what your role as a soldier is.
And this would have been in the same vehicle?
In the same vehicle. I've had the
well, let's see you drop then. The soldiers and the police officers talk to each other.
They do.
That's interesting. Don't let them too much.
No, I'm they do. But they seem to get along. They get along fairly hard. As I said, I'm not that far removed from it. I know a bit of it.
Yeah.
But I still have an issue.
Yes.
With the powers of arrest to the soldier. I think it will not send a good signal to the members, the citizenry, because I get the sense that Barbadians are under immense fear.
Yeah.
And let me look at the legislation that has been coming to Parliament. Where it's not about exacting. Sorry.
Okay. This is the director's fault. Okay. Andrew Brooms. I think they want you to read Andrew Brooms. BDF. Sure. You sure we can read this?
No, you have 1 minute.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, go on, Ensley.
Right. But saying that
Andrew.
Saying that we have 1 minute left, I will make this my parting statement.
Before you made your parting statement, the public is really interested in this. Can a BDF man, can a soldier in this new system, an officer, police officer obviously can patrol without a BDF man. Can a BDF man patrol without a police officer? Or does he need the police officer? That's a quick one. He needs the police officer. All right, you want to make your parting comment. We've had a good program, gentlemen. Corey, thanks for your amazing research, as always. And thanks to you two gentlemen for providing excellent conversation tonight.
And what I omitted to say at the beginning, I will say at the end. Corey, you did an excellent job over the last weekend.
Yes.
As you went into the belly of this
of the legislation,
the interception legislation, and you did a marvelous job. And I'm sure that the public of Barbados are more enlightened, and being the Democratic Labour Party, are grateful to you.
Excellent job. I sat there and admired every second. of your appearance on the Marcia Week show. You were brilliant.
Thank you.
But,
Thank you so much.
We want you to say more than thank you. We want you to summarize. Are we becoming a military state in Barbados? Are we having that look?
I think we're in a moment.
We're in the moment.
We're in a moment.
A moment.
Yes. And I think the
Very careful
moment,
with language.
I think this moment is one that calls for the attention of every citizen. As you said, I spent the last few days appearing on a couple of podcasts. I appeared on DLP TV last week. But when I go out into the country, in my normal day-to-day, within the workplace, interacting with average Barbadians, the sentiment is just as we think. There is a sense of, there is a moment that we are uncertain about and uncertain what we are to do about.
Yes.
And my admonition to the citizens of Barbados, continue to ask the right questions. Continue to call this government to account for its actions. Continue to ask this government to explain. And I want to end by reminding, if there's only one thing that you remember that we mentioned tonight, is Section 5(2)(b). Trust and believe Barbados. It allows for the Commission of Police and for the Director General of the Anti-Corruption and Anti-Terrorism Agency to effect the interception of your communications without a judicial warrant, despite what the Attorney General laid on the floor of Parliament, despite what the Minister of Home Affairs laid on the floor of Parliament. 5(2)(b) does in fact allow for extrajudicial wiretapping. And I'll add one final thing. The Attorney General made reference to say that we have patterned ourselves after all of other legislation within the Caribbean. I want to say to the citizens of Barbados, the Interception of Communication Bill in Jamaica does not have a Section 5(2)(b).
Correct.
The Jamaican legislation has taken that completely out, and they are required to go to get a warrant.
And their violent crime has dropped.
And their violent crime has dropped.
This military moment to which Cody refers, how long do you anticipate it will be with us, Jason?
I want to start by saying this, that this Barbados Labour Party-led government is sliding down a slippery slope, and that the government is piecing off our rights and our freedoms, and we have to be very careful. It seems as though it is a grab to hold on to power.
Yes.
At any cost. Earlier we said, take legislation giving soldiers powers of arrest. Intercept legislation.
Yes. Cybercrime.
Cybercrime. We have to protect our democracy. And Barbadians, I get a sense that they're becoming scared. They're becoming fearful. So to go back to the question you asked me, this military moment, I would just say this. It's a very ugly thing to have soldiers patrolling streets of Barbados. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you very much. And thanks for watching. We're going to be back on Thursday night. Miss Verla de Pisa should be in on Thursday night, will be in on Thursday night with Dr. Wickham. Verla will offer the perspective on the Commission on Crime report as chairperson, and Dr. Wickham will be offering his own perspective. He's read and studied that report. I saw him making several notes. So on Thursday, we look forward to those two distinguished Barbadians discussing a report that this party has produced. The Barbados Labour Party government has failed to produce any report. Our report contains several recommendations on several of its pages Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming along tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And making this program the success that it continues to be. And we look forward to seeing you on Thursday. The West Indies won today, by the way. That's the only thing we have to smile about tonight within this military moment. Good night and God bless you.
Thank you.